Hello, Cowboys Nation. Welcome back to Fourth and Forever. I am JR Castillo, and what a game that one was, right? That was a no defense played, all action, all gas, no breaks type game, isn't it? Ties suck. Ties are horrible. But for the thick of things, I guess we got to take what we can get, right? Tie is a tie. It's not a loss. I think everybody figured we'd lose that one. I thought we would lose that one. Didn't think it'd be pretty good. I didn't even think it'd be close. We pulled out a tie. Like I'll take the tie, right? Like, and sometimes you gotta know when to just walk away from something, and it's one of those ones where you just gotta know when to walk away and take the tie. You just take the tie. That being said, let's get rid of ties. Let's make overtime a full 15 minutes. Why is overtime 10 minutes and not 15? Quarters of 15 minutes. It makes no sense for an overtime to be 10. So that's first thing. And second, if it ends in a tie, I say, and maybe it's just being a little bit biased here, we end this thing in a field goal kickoff. We keep back in the field goal. We start at the 20 and back the kickers up 5 yards every kick, 10 yards every kick, and just see who keeps going until one of them misses. That's the way we end the tie right there. A field goal off. Is that word? I don't think I think that's the correct group of words. But we can work on the name. We can work on the name, but that's a lot better than the tie. But we'll enjoy the tie. So let's break down this game, right? Let's look at some of the highlights of this game. Because this before we break into the highlights, there's two things I have to talk about. I jumped ahead of myself, guys. I'm sorry. First things first. I don't want to be the person that has to defend Matt Eberflus here. And let's be honest, the defense isn't good. But how many tackles does Matt Eberflus miss? How many times Matt Eberflus play the wrong assignment? He's trying. People are being rotated in and out. There was the much more rotation in this game than there has been. Not just defensive line, but linebackers and safeties and corners. Trayvon Diggs was benched to start the game because he's been playing badly. Wanye Thomas got some action. And now, how much of that action was because Malik Hooker got hurt and he's going to be out for a few weeks? And how much of it was they needed to try something different at safety? Marquise Bell got some action in at safety too. They are trying different things, and I will say this: they may have given up 40 points, and it may have been more points than against the Bears, but they played a better defensive game than they did against the Bears because at least there were people near Packers receivers, and they just weren't leaving them alone. They were near them, they just couldn't tackle them. And I mean, that's at least a half a step in a direction. Like they didn't go backwards. It just they're just not good. This is a player issue, not a coaching staff issue. I just don't think the talent is there. The players are not good, and we're gonna start looking at you, Jack Sanborn, Mister. I can't make a tackle. Kenneth Murray can't cover anything. That's when you got to start. You got to start with players that just aren't doing their jobs. Donovan Wilson unable to cover anything down the field. Like you are good for one exact thing, but also is Eberflus out there committing stupid penalties? Because Sam Williams is the king of grabbing the quarterback's face mask on potential sacks. This dude grabs face masks more than I did, and that's what I did. That was my whole thing when I played football. I'm gonna grab a face mask. That was my thing. That's what I was known for. One of my nicknames was face mask. I had many, but that was the most creative one, probably the nicest one. But it was something. But I mean, Sam Williams just can't help himself. He just grabs face mask anytime he gets near quarterback. Maurice Luafau, dude, you had 7 business days to stop before you leveled that running back. 7 business days, and you just decided I'm gonna hit him anyway. Man, that was a potential stop on third. It was a second down play. Potential third and long. It's turned into first 15-yard gain. You cannot make stupid decisions like that. The team keeps committing penalties. So many penalties. So many just absolute boneheaded decisions. Eberflus's defense have consistently been top 15 in both points allowed, yards allowed, in pretty much every statistical category. They've been top 15. I refuse to believe he just forgot how to be a defensive coordinator. There's reinforcements coming. How much those reinforcements can help, I don't know, because the team is flawed because they just don't have good players. You start replacing some of the bad players with better players, maybe it gets better. And we'll see when the season ends, because this time last year everybody was calling for Mike Zimmer's job. And by the end of the season, everybody's like, well, Mike Zimmer's pretty good at this. So let's just see how the season goes, and let's see if they can continue to build off something. This week, they built off being close to the guy. That is a step in a direction. That is, at least you were in the same area code as the receiver. I will give you some partial credit. You get a tenth of a point for at least being in the same area code, because against the Bears, I don't even think they were in the same state. So, I mean, let's take care of that one. Second off, Romeo Dobbs, you can't celebrate when you look like that, dude. I'm sorry. Listen, I get trying to be healthy. I get trying to minimize the risks of a risky sport. But, dude, what is that? Like, what is that? You can't. I would rather have CTE than out here looking like Mega Mind trying to play football every snap. No, no. I'm not going to look that ridiculous in order to try to save a concussion or two. There's been no evidence to prove the Guardian caps even help prevent concussions. You just look like Megamind out here for no reason, for zero reason. And plus, it is 2025. This is the best it can look. Like, we can't make it look at least somewhat presentable. This is like something a 4-year-old would make. Like, this is horrible. Let's try better, NFL. Come on now. It's not like you ain't got the money. Do something a little better than this. Now we can get into highlights. Let's start the highlights with what started the Cowboys' little run of momentum. We're going to start right here. Let's see. We're going to get into this highlight. It is 10:37 to go here in the second quarter. It is 13-0 Green Bay. Green Bay is absolutely dominating this game. Just scored a second touchdown. And they're in complete control. And on this highlight, as we get it running, Wanye Thomas just absolutely comes through unblocked, blocks the extra point. Marquise Bell gets the recovery, and he's gonna house it for 2 points. This makes it 13-2, and at the time, that may have been the only two anybody thought the Cowboys would score. But the 2 points, better than no points. And that was the moment that the Cowboys sort of found a little bit of rhythm. They were able to play, from that moment on, they played a little less scared. Up until that point, they seemed to play very timid, especially offensively. Didn't try anything. They weren't even trying to move the ball. They played a little bit less scared. The second highlight, not really a big play, but it is Matthew Golden learning a very valuable lesson, and that lesson is don't spin unnecessarily. And we're going to go to it. It is 8:39 to go here in the second quarter. It's a punt by Brian Anger. And as you see, the punt goes down. Golden's get it. No reason to spin, and just absolutely gets leveled by Maurice Leafau. Just an absolute devastating hit by Leafau. One of the good ones. That was a good, clean hit. Golden, no reason to do that unnecessary spin, and he paid for it. Learning a valuable lesson, don't spin unless you absolutely have to. Now, let's skip it forward. Let's skip forward here. Cowboys driving. 55 seconds to go in the first half. Still 13-2. Defense has played okay since the first couple possessions. And you got a 1st and 10. Dak's going to take the snap, and he's going to go throw it up to Pickens. And George Pickens, what a catch. George Pickens, just absolutely. There's only one thing you can do if you're George Pickens on this play, is the second that ball touches your hands, let the body go limp. That's the only way you get both feet in bounds, and he does a tremendous job getting his toes in bounds. First toe, second toe taps it there. That's a beautiful catch by Pickens, and the Cowboys have a chance to score after this. What a toe drag. What a beautiful catch. Absolutely beautiful. Next, we're going to move on to the next play. Now, this play, simple touchdown. All right? Want to point out a few things. For this play, we got 44 seconds to go here in the second quarter, second and goal. Dak's going to take the snap. He's going to run it. And for all the fans out in Philly, you notice how when Dak Prescott runs, he doesn't have 50 people pushing on his butt to try to help him get across the end zone. That's how you run a quarterback play. Right there. You don't need 50 people touching him on his butt, pushing him across. No, just run across the end zone. Just be a man, push it in there, score or don't score. That's the bottom line. So, suck it, Philly. Now we're going to move along. 20 seconds to go here in the first half. First and 15 for the Packers. Jordan Love's going to take the snap. He drops back. And James Houston, just with the swipe at the ball, forces the fumble. And the Cowboys now have actual life here. This was a turning point. The Packers could have just went into the half and with the lead, played it safe, had control, and still had pretty much control of the game. Dallas had one good offensive drive at this point. Packers could have played it safe. They decided not to. James Houston causes a turnover, and that leads directly to 13 seconds to go here in the first half. First and 10. Dak will take the snap, looks back. George Pickens. George Pickens, this was the coming out party for George Pickens. This was his Cowboys coming out party, showing off, looking great. Here you see him at the line. Going to come up, a little bit of a wiggle there, and then bam, right up the middle on the post. Just the little wiggle, catches himself just enough space to get in there and makes the clean catch, touchdown. And somehow, the Cowboys go into the half with the lead. So we're going to fast forward it a little bit more. And as you see, most of these highlights are Cowboys highlights because the Cowboys were constantly playing catch-up. And we knew Green Bay was going to score. Let's be honest. Everybody knew Green Bay was going to score. So it just came to how good could the Cowboys offense be. And Dak showed everything that you would need to see from your quarterback today. But this one, 40 seconds to go here in the third. It is 2nd and 6. We got Ferguson goes out wide. Dak takes the snap. And this is what you do when you have a big tight end. And you have matched up on the corners. Just get in position. This is a rebounding drill in basketball. Get in position. Post yourself up in front of them. Use your big body to block the cornerback from coming through. And that's a clean touchdown. Ferguson's going a nice little motion to get him out wide. He's going to come out. Just cut, get in front, post up, touchdown. Nothing you can do as a corner there. Beautiful throw by Dak. Perfect on the ball placement. Fergie with a good catch. And it's going to push us forward again. And 1:45 to go in the fourth quarter. And this is a kickoff. Packers lead 34-30. Dallas needs one more drive. The new kickoff rules with the landing zones have had kickers fooled for some reason. This is one. Turpin gets it on the back, and Turpin just finds a little bit of space, and that man's fast. Absolutely speedster, and it gives the Cowboys out to the 46-yard line. 47, that gives the Cowboys great field position on a last-minute drive that they need to come down and score. And what is that going to lead to? It's going to lead to this right here. As we go, 50 seconds to go in the game. 1st and 10, Dallas at the Green Bay 28. Prescott takes the snap, finds Pickens on a simple out route at the 20, makes the cornerback miss, and George Pickens into the end zone, continuing the George Pickens breakout game. That's a touchdown. Micah Parsons looks absolutely gassed. Almost had Dak on that play. That was one of Parsons' best pass rushes. You see him coming off of the right edge over here on Terrence Steele. Parsons does a great job getting through Steele. Dak was just quick all night. Dak did not hold on to the ball any longer than he absolutely had to. Just beautiful release from Dak. Pickens with a good route, great out route, and then a good quick turnaround after making the catch. And that was Packers corner Ballantyne, who came. It was an injury replacement, came in, and Pickens just continued to pick on him all night. And it was Cowboys take the late lead. As you know, the Cowboys defense is garbage. They gave up said late lead, and we ended up in overtime, and that's where we're going to move it forward to. And we're going to move it forward to this part right here. 6:43 to go in overtime. It is 2nd and 7. We are tied up 37. This is the Cowboys' first possession of overtime, their only possession of overtime. And yet Dak takes the snap. Pressure gets in. Dak has to move, and he throws up one that I thought was a throwaway. But Jalen Tolbert coming back, doing an absolute tremendous job in concentration, because had this ball been right on him, he probably would have dropped it. But him having to concentrate makes it just great feet placement, drags the toes, great concentration, and make sure he came back for it. When Dak threw that ball, I was certain it was absolutely going to be a throwaway, but it was not a throwaway, and Tolbert came back and got it. And then we have the final highlight we're going to show, because we're not going to show the ending field goal because we all know what short field goals look like. The Packers did their best here to blow this game. Some of the worst time management I've ever seen in my life. Just absolutely almost blew it. And the shame thing is this ball takes the absolute perfect bounce, as we're going to watch the play here. With 7 seconds to go in the game, Dallas up by 3. Love takes the snap. Throws it, and this is the best coverage Dallas had all night. Absolutely best coverage Dallas had all night. And had the coverage been a little bit worse, the ball probably bounces anywhere other than straight down. If the ball just hangs in the air for a half a second, then that clock hits 0, Dallas gets a win. Bravo to the timekeeper. That dude, this was his Hall of Fame moment. This was that button presser's Hall of Fame moment. He's been waiting his whole life to be able to press that button at just the right time. Be like, dude, you see how quick I was on that button? This was his moment, and he bravo to him, dude. You did a great job, I guess. Could have gave the Cowboys a little bit of home cooking right there, but he decided that wasn't necessary. I guess, okay, if you will. But I'll take the tie. I'll take the tie. I'll take the tie in a game that nobody thought we would win. NBC had 78% of America picking the Packers, and my thought was it wasn't that 22% picked the Cowboys. It was 22% of America didn't know what a Packer was, so they just didn't pick them. They just don't watch football, didn't know what a Packer was. They answered the poll for some whatever reason, so that's why they didn't pick them. Nobody thought Dallas would be in this game with how bad Dallas's defense has been and with how inept the offense looked against Chicago. This was the best game plan Brian Schottenheimer has called. Beautiful game plan. I would like to see this game plan continue when CeeDee Lamb gets healthy in a few weeks. For the Cowboys, up next is the Jets. At 1-2-1 is way better than 1-3. You can work with the 1-2-1. You have a chance with the Jets, the Panthers, and Commanders coming up. There's a chance they can win all 3 of those games, and all of a sudden you're 4-2-1, and you're looking pretty decent. You're in a good spot. Also, this week you have the 21-day windows can start to open. I don't know how many of those windows the Cowboys will open. I do know you have Peyton Turner, defensive end, Phil Maffa, running back, Jonathan Mingo, wide receiver, Siobhan Revel Jr., the cornerback, and DeMarvion Overshown are the 5, I believe, that have the option for their 21-day windows to open. I do anticipate the 21-day window for Siobhan Revel Jr. to start this week. His game, according to him, he was expecting to make his NFL debut against the Jets. We'll see if the Cowboys continue that. We'll continue to go along with his plan, because that's a very intense, quick game plan there. But I do expect for sure his 21-day window to open. DeMarvion Overshown's 21-day window will not open this week. I think we are at least probably 21 days away from that 21-day window being open. Once they open the 21-day window, then they will have as it sounds, a 21-day window to practice before the Cowboys have to make a decision on their roster spot. They can either at that point put them on the active roster, or they have to put them on IR for the rest of the season. So that's, I think you'll probably see them be a little bit careful. I think Siobhan Rebel Jr. will definitely open his window. Jonathan Mingo may open his window. And Peyton Turner may open his window. Perry and Winfrey, I believe, is also eligible for this window. Perry and Winfrey might be on IR. I'd have to double check that, though. But for sure, Siobhan Rebel Jr. for sure is going to open his window because he's about ready to return. Overshone will not. Mingo might. Peyton Turner might. I doubt Phil Maffa does. I would be shocked if Phil Maffa opens his window at this point, strictly because they haven't used Jadon Blue yet. So I don't. Although if Miles Turner, he did come out of the game a little bit banged up with an ankle, so that may dictate how they move forward. But Siobhan Rebel Jr., adding him to the secondary now gives you a little bit deeper secondary. Bridges is probably the one out when Siobhan Rebel is ready for the roster. Not a big loss there. Really not. But now you put him in the game plan. You have to start adding in plays for him. Who takes a back seat? Trayvon had his best game of the season against the Packers. It was his best game so far. Maybe being benched sort of helped him respond a little bit. Bland is still probably going to be on a little bit of a snap count for another week or two. So there's places where you could add him in, but we will see further in the week. Probably by the Jets preview episode, we will have a little bit more on whose window's open, who may be active, and stuff like that. But that was an exciting game. It was a fun game. Ties suck. Romeo Dobbs looks ridiculous. I'll take the tie if I have. I mean, it's tie or a loss. I'm going to take the tie. It's not going to complain over a tie when the other result is a loss. I guess I'll take the tie begrudgingly, but they got to end ties. Let's end ties. That's the next movement. In the tush push, end ties. That's this offseason's priority. But that's the game. That is this week's review for the Packers game. Be back probably Friday for the Jets preview. Jets game is going to be one of those games, right? It should be a win. They should be good enough to beat the New York Jets. But who knows? With this defense, who knows what's going to happen? That's the fun of it, right? It's fun of being a Cowboys fan. You never quite know exactly what's going to happen. But that is it for today, everybody. Enjoy tie week. At least it wasn't a loss week. Let's keep it up with that. Let's hope maybe the defense can make 3 stops next week instead of 2. Let's keep on the positive defensive pressure, positive defensive upgrades, right? Positive defensive upgrades. 3 stops instead of 2. Let's just one more step forward. But that's the end of this episode. Enjoy the rest of y'all's day, guys, and let's go Cowboys.